Hey there, I'm Jessica Anthony, and in this week's video I am sewing a pillowcase, and rather quilting a pillowcase to match a quilt that I just made. So I had extra quilt squares, and I had a little throw pillow that didn't have a pillowcase on it. And so together I'm just going to make a little pillowcase. I'm using the same 7.5 by 7.5 inch squares I used for the quilt. I laid them out on the pillow that I had, and it actually worked really well for the size of the pillow, because it was basically 2 rows and then 4 squares each in each row. 2 sides, and we'll put them together. I have even more squares than is just needed for the pillowcase, so I will probably also repeat this on some kind of regular sized pillowcases, since there's a lot of kind of throw pillows or extra pillows for reading books and snuggling up. So it's good to have a match. My plan for the pillowcase is to sew up each panel for the 2 sides of the pillow, and then put those right sides together, sew up 3 sides, flip it right side around, and put the pillow in, and then sew up the remaining side. We'll see what happens. We'll see how it goes down. This is the layout for the 2 sides of the pillow, and I think this will be enough fabric with the seam allowance. So I'm going to sew up each of the sides and then check it with the pillow and see if more is needed. I will sew a strip along the outside of fabric to just make up the difference. So this side, I'm focusing on this little trotting deer coming through, and this side we have a little fox who's coming on through. Okay, I've got 1 row sewed all together, and I'm just laying it out on the pillow, and it looks like it might be big enough to not need another strip of fabric around. So I'll sew up the next row, I'll iron the seams, and then sew the 2 rows together. So for assembling a row, I just put right sides together and then sew up the seam. Then I reopen it up and add the next one, sew up the seam, and then right sides together, add the next one, sew up the seam, and have my row. And so I'll just repeat what I did here for this row, and then the other 2 rows that are the other side. And for this, just also keep in mind the directionality of the pattern on the fabric, so making sure you're sewing them together all facing the direction you want them to be facing. I'm laying down the next one, so right sides together so that they'll open, just matching up these edges, and then bringing them up to sew. And 1 more for this row. Pillows are much faster than a whole quilt, gotta say. So now I've got the 2 rows for one side. I will tie off the ends, iron open the seams, and then sew these 2 panels together, right sides together, and again making sure directionally when it opens everything's facing the right direction. I'm going to tie these off and trim them now. So now to iron the seams. Alright, all 4 rows are assembled. The seams are all pressed, and Circe's here too. So there are 2 rows on each side, stacked on top of each other, and I'm going to sew those together, so then I'll have the 2 panels for the front of the pillow and the back of the pillow. To do that, I'll take my first, side, and I will fold this on top. I'll match the corners pin and then sew along the edge so that when it opens, it's all nicely hemmed. This is the center seam. I'm just matching it up, pinning, and then I'll match all the other ones, put a few pins in, and then just sew it up. Okay, all pinned and ready to sew. The first side is assembled. We just repeat those same steps on the other side to match up the seams, pin them, and sew it up. And the second side. Now I'll just iron up the seam on the back on both of these panels and then piece them together. Both sides of the pillowcase are done. So it's just rechecking to make sure that this will be big enough, and it definitely will. It might even be a little too big. My next step will be putting right sides together, matching up again all the quilted corners, and then after pinning, I will sew up 3 sides of the pillowcase, and then turn it right side around, stick the pillow in, and then sew up the final 4th edge. All pinned and ready to sew, if Neptune will let me. Now Neptune's down here. What do you say, Neptune? Alright, I've sewed the seam along the whole outside of the pillowcase, on 3 sides I should say. So now I am going to open it up and turn it right side around. Opening it up, reaching in, and getting those corners, flipping it right side around. I'm going to take my finger and just, I needed to cut notches in the corners so that these corners can push out. So I'm going to take this back out, and I'm going to trim along the corner, do 2 little notches just to try and get this corner out. Here's the other corner. Just trim, making sure not to go across the stitches. Just doing little notches and then turning right side around again. And now I will stuff the pillow in. So I could fold this in and sew it up, or I could leave it open, do a small little hem here. That way I can take this off and wash it, which will probably be necessary with a toddler. So even though I probably would like it closed a little bit more, I think I'm going to do it open. Alright, keeping it open, I'm just going to do a little double fold. I'll iron that all the way around and then top stitch. To do the double fold, I actually turned it back inside out, and then I will fold this over twice, keeping a consistent distance all the way around, and put a couple pins in, flip it right side around again, and top stitch along the seam, folding twice. And sure, let's pin it. Flip and pin the other side, and then sew this up. And if I want to close it up later, I can. I've turned it right side around again, and we'll top stitch all the way around. Complete one side and the other side. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Have a wonderful week. Be kind and get into a little bit of mischief.